Zinc was first discovered in 1526, but it was actually being used long before that. It was first isolated as a metal in 1526. Bluish white colour, lustrous metallic metal, and very brittle at room temperature. It is the fourth most common metal used today, behind iron, aluminium, and copper. So it has a very major role in today's society. It doesn't form as a metal, pure metal. You may have seen the gold presentations where often gold forms as a pure metal. Zinc does not do that in nature. It forms as a compound and a mineral with other elements. The most common are shown there. The most common zinc mineral in the world is sphalerite. But there are other zinc minerals as well: zinctite, smithsonite, willemnite, franklinite. But certainly most of the applications and most of today's use of zinc comes from processing of sphalerite, and we'll talk about that in a bit more detail. So this is what good specimens of sphalerite look like. A lot of the time, you can't really see much of the crystal structure, but obviously when you're showing pictures, you like to show the nice specimens. Even more pretty is things like smithsonite. So you can see the beautiful colours coming through on the screen. So early uses, as said, it's been known all the way back to 500 BC. So zinc has been used for a very long time. It's not really been used as a metal up until very recently, but it's most commonly being used to form brass compounds. So with alloys of various other metals, it's producing some form of a metal that's being then used often for coins, often for jewellery and various other implements that are used in society. Today, the zinc is primarily used in steel galvanizing, and I'll show you a picture of that shortly. It's also used in alloying and die casting. There is still a significant production of brass and bronze uses, and then there's a myriad of chemical uses for zinc, things like batteries, paint, ceramics, cosmetics, glass, pharmaceuticals. Probably a lot of you will have, if you're having health supplement tablets, there'll be some zinc in those as well. Fertilizer and fireworks, and if you remember, if you were here for the fireworks displays that have been running for the last 2 months in Singapore, a lot of that brilliant colour that comes out in the fireworks is a result of zinc chemicals that are added to the fireworks. So some pictures of some of the applications, typical applications of zinc.
The funny thing about zinc mining, Mark, when you in fact first suggested that we talk about zinc today, my question was, who's going to be interested in zinc? After all, we had a gold rush. I don't remember ever seeing a zinc rush. Can you tell us what actually excites companies about the prospect of mining zinc? Is it higher margins? Is it non-stop demand? What is the killer app, I suppose, of zinc?
Well, if you're a geologist, it's just the pure beauty of zinc mines. But luckily the world isn't full of geologists. So I think that anyone that's interested in zinc has to clearly understand that it's the fourth most used metal in the world. So it will always have a place behind iron ore and copper and aluminium. So there is a fundamental demand requirement for zinc going forward, and zinc's not the demand for zinc is not going to stop in the next 10 years or the next 20 years or the next 30 years. So what will attract people into zinc will be that fundamental equation of demand, supply, profit. And when it comes to assessing the zinc versus copper versus gold, that will often come down to a company's preference or an individual within that company's preference rather than something that's not necessarily economically reasoned or financially justified or whatever. It's just the managing director says, I like zinc, let's look for zinc. But there's always the fundamentals that back it up as well. And zinc has very good fundamentals, just like copper and aluminium and iron do. So, and it will continue to do that for the next foreseeable future.